the truth is, there is really nobody who wants to see this conflict. I mean, there will be no winners out of this conflict. I understand that at this moment, this would probably occupy you to the exclusion of almost everything else. But there is also a world out there, and I'm very glad that you're sitting here in India, because it would remind you that there are equally pressing issues in other parts of the world. I mentioned Afghanistan. I mentioned the challenges which we faced in Asia. And if I were to put those very challenges in terms of principles, I mean, when a rules-based order was under challenge in Asia, the advice we got from Europe is do more trade. At least we're not giving you that advice. And in terms of Afghanistan, I mean, please show me which part of the rules-based order justified what the world did there. I think where the conflict in Ukraine is concerned, we have a fairly clear position that has been articulated, a position which emphasizes the urgent cessation of fighting, which urges a return to diplomacy and dialogue, which stresses the need to respect sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. I recognize today that the conflict in Ukraine is the dominant issue, if not among the dominant issues of the day. And it's a dominant issue not just in terms of principles and values alone, also in terms of the practical consequences of it, the knock-on effects. You have, I mean, in this part of the world, not just here in Africa, in other parts of Asia, people are seeing the conflict play out in terms of higher energy prices, in terms of food inflation, in terms of disruptions of various kinds. So the truth is, there is really nobody who wants to see this conflict. I mean, there will be no winners out of this conflict. As Indian Ocean countries, we need to, in a sense, recognize and reclaim our history. That we were a very vibrant, pluralistic ecosystem for the passage of commerce and culture for many, many years. Now, this was disrupted during the colonial times. And I think as part of today, the changing world, a much more globalized world, a much more rebalanced world, how do you rebuild our economies? How do we actually do more interactions with each other rather than go through intermediaries of a very different era? If I were to think of three things, I think one, the shocks that the international order has been experiencing. Because if you were to look at the last 3 decades, globalization, spread of technology, these were even the rebalancing, the prosperity, the high growth rates in Asia particularly, these were the dominant trends. And in particularly the last 2 years, since we've had the last physical meeting of the Raisina Dialogue, we've really had some big shocks. You know, COVID was a shock, Afghanistan was a shock, Ukraine is a shock. In a sense, the sharper friction between big powers, between the West and Russia, between the United States and China, these two have added to it. So I think, I won't say it keeps me awake at night, but certainly it's something which anybody doing foreign policy needs to spend a lot of time trying to get the world right.